Yeah, get a sledgehammer in there. Let Matt Andrews start swinging around. It's Cologne time, baby. But it looks like we're ready, Ben. mousesports versus MVP PK. This one should be a tasty affair. Our first overpass. I see trying to say overpass. It's in my head. Our first Vertigo, Ben. So it looks like they're going for the classic play, the old A attack.
So the tell that I always said in the past with this map was that grated bridge going towards this A area. It makes so much noise when you cross that. It's usually quite easy to tell it's an A, but they jumped right before it. They carried on walking from there. They got 2 smokes, 2 Molotovs. It's going to be an execute onto there. Mouse do not have a kit for this, so they're going to need to hope for some kills before anything gets going.
Ooh. Well, there's the trade instantly to open it off. Karrigan has a little bit of an elevated angle and was able to tap down ever so slightly to remove the first, but it's traded back heavily in the favor of MVP now. Down to just the 2 versus 3. They're going to retreat back and fall into better positions. Frozen does arrive on the scene, Ben, but this is not going to be an easy one for them.
Such a difficult area to actually get through. The fact he gets 1 of those kills is actually not bad, all things considered. But as I said, there's no kit. This makes it so difficult, unless they just land the shots like they are doing right now.
I mean, it would be difficult, but I guess when you've got Rops on your team, the man just pops off, just walking around, smashing face. Nicely played by mousesports, being able to just straight up take the firefights and win them. I mean, fair enough. That's one way to mount a retake, I guess.
Just a bit concerning, I suppose, that MVP... clearly they had the tactic in mind. They got the kills they needed when holding it back in the first like 15-20 seconds. Yet they allow that possibility. They give them the fight. Right? You don't need to. They haven't even tapped the bomb. Like, the guy behind sandbags, he dies, fine. But then you should make sure you can't die from that point.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. They were so exposed at that point. You got the guy literally just on ramp, taking the fight, and then again, obviously, further back by the scaffold. It's not great. I'm curious to see how they actually play this as well with the audio cues, because we've seen... I mean, it really is that main sort of focal point that gives you so much info early on. However, you're just going to be sprinting in towards the bomb site. That definitely gives you a lot more of a read. Woxic as well, coming through with the MP9, trying to make a bit of cash for himself into this one. And this is just going to be standard stuff. This is just pug play, really, Ben. At that point, just push your way in, take control of the spawn, just completely overthrow. Very nicely done from mousesports. No casualties there, and quite a bit of money actually maximising the SMGs.
Yeah, so that fight that Rops took initially from the get-go there. So one of the things I did notice just from the many games we saw at Pro League with this actual map as well, is that that fight is such a big thing in the first 10 seconds of the round for either team.
Yeah.
So I believe Elmer Puddy put out a video not long ago, basically talking about Stewie's entry kills in this map. So he had, I think it was 12 entry kills. Not just entry openings, kills. Just kills.
Right.
Because he kept on going to the A-ramp area and winning that fight with the AWP or rifle on the CT and T side. On CT, you have that advantage. If somebody throws a pop flash for you, you can face that angle before they get there, and you kill them for free. He has basically mastered that, and we see Rops just do the exact same thing. When we talk about that, we always think about that A ramp side, don't we? The scaffolding, the ramp with the sandbags there. It's all about that control, but it's actually, you can just play 2 towards that site and then take B control early around that stairway. It's not actually that much of a crazy importance thing.
Yeah.
It's much more of a lurker versus B hold player. Whoever wins that fight wins the map control.
Well, that's the thing. Vertigo as a whole plays a lot more of that sort of tug-and-war classic style, in the sense where it's such a heavy fight for map control, because you can lose it all so quickly. It's obviously just the sheer rate of how fast you can get to bomb sites on this map as well. It has more of that sort of current impending fear to it, because you can just go for a straight execute out of the spawn. You know what I mean? You can just go straight into that if you want to. Overall, though, that normally is where we do sort of teams like mousesports that are more structured and that have that sort of just base synergy down, being able to actually come out over top when it kind of is a cheese pick like this, because you can take it a little bit more just sort of chill, you know, play it out as you would normally there. For the most part, it really is just holding those angles.
Yeah, I mean, I'm surprised we haven't seen as many like spawn strats there.
Yeah.
When the map first came out, that was one of the first things people did. They
Everyone
saw
was
those
finding the
skylights,
lineups,
and they were just like, okay, we don't see people do it.
Because there was even like there's the little etches that were added as well, them, didn't they? Purely to try and make it easier to learn up certain smokes. There was also obviously the smokes over towards A site that you could do from spawn. So there was a lot of nuances that made it look like it was going to be quite interesting, obviously going into it. But I don't feel like we've seen that much. And it's also the fact it feels like a lot of people obviously don't want to see more, if you know what I mean. So they're not actively trying as much as they would. Obviously with the debate of will Cash reappear into the map pool, or will there be more?
Nearly done, isn't it?
Yeah, I think we saw
I think he's
like,
been speeding up a bit.
Yeah, because there's like 2 red ticks now on the last the last.
When
pitch
it was
out.
quite a few empty gaps, wasn't it? The last time he did up to it. But like I don't know, it's this map draws some parallels to Cobble in that retrospect. So Cobble used to be all about the fast B plat control or B rush. Yeah. And then otherwise it was quite a slow paced thing, and then you just re-engage on that same bit. This map kind of has some of those similar aspects here and there. If you consider, say, so B side, like this ramp I mentioned, the staircase there.
Yeah.
Consider that to be the A side of Cobble, for example. You'll have one guy lurking towards it, and a CT player might take that fight against you. So if you translate that to be the same thing, and then A ramp is more of a B side thing.
Yeah.
There's no equivalent for drop down, just because, middle on this map is a lot more prominent than Cobble. Obviously, Cobble was so far split, it kind of made it difficult. But then I feel like we haven't seen the potential for this map. People are still against it. I think it's just because it's still new. Like, the teams don't know how they're meant to play it yet, still.
Yeah, that is very true. It hasn't sort of come into its own in age. All CS maps start off sort of quite similar in this way. If you think back to sort of Overpass when that initially came in, the state it was in to when
the one path.
Yeah. I mean, the fact that so many people in the community had to step up and actually say, look, if we change this, it'd be a better map. Obviously, Adren did a lot of that. He actually hard pushed for an awful lot of the big changes that came into effect for Overpass. So yeah, I mean, there's potential, but obviously we never know. We never know how long Vertigo is going to be here until it's Vertigo, Ben.
That's true. The thing is, it's all well and good complaining, but if you don't give a suggestion or a solution to what's
constructive criticism.
Because this ramp area, I don't know if somebody actually recommended opening that wood.
It was a very odd change. I must admit, that came out of nowhere.
I don't know if somebody did say, oh, we should open that.
Yeah.
But it's like, that at least changed something, and then they can think, okay, this was too much. Maybe we change something else. There's a few different things. It's a building process.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
It just doesn't play the same as all the other maps do.
No, it's got its very own unique sort of style to it. But some of the maps do. CS maps as a whole have always been slightly different. It's just obviously where this one really differs from that normal standard cake mix that people have been addicted to for years. So.
It's because everything was stuck with the Dust 2 style of map creation, wasn't it? Like the 3-lane system.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, that just
because Cache
standardized,
then became
really.
standard. Mirage is the same now. Inferno was one of the anomalies. It wasn't really. It's not really.
Inferno was just
Inferno.
Inferno. Yeah.
Although if you really wanted to push, you could argue second mid, and banana, but it's not.
Not in the same.
Not at all.
Yeah.
It's
there's like
so
the 3
much.
points of rotation, or
yeah. I don't know. It's. I mean, I kind of understand the critiques it gets. It's just I feel like how would you change it?
Yeah.
Most of the time is my query with most of this stuff.
That's what people should do. If you don't know how to use hammer and you can't make a level,
SDK.
get yourself some clay. Take that clay and make your ideal version of Vertigo as a diorama on clay. And at that point, take that to show and tell. Sorted.
And if you really want to confuse yourself, try doing an overhead on paint.
There you go.
That'd be very confusing.
Yeah, try that one out. Answers on a postcard. Send those in to us. That's send those in. We'll show the best ones off at the end of the stream. Anything you can make together, that'd be beautiful. Wouldn't that just be like a box? If it would
just be
the
a square.
top down,
it's
it would just be the top level. You
very...
just have to do like the 3D sides on it. Well, it looks like we're ready. The 3D sides, the action have been repaired. It's time for some more of this matchup. mousesports currently leading with 2 rounds. MVP sat there with a big fat 0 right now. Going to be looking to try and actually get something on the board as they have the rifles to slay with.
Yeah, so we're going to be seeing a lot more of the SG come out as well. That was one of the other things from the success for Fury, I believe it was, or that DreamHack. DreamHack Summer, rather.
We're seeing a whole lot of talk about Krieg sort of actually now coming into the players. Obviously, Org's basically fallen out of favour with a lot of people. The Org gives you that scope potential to take some of the fights you just wouldn't normally see. So it'll be curious to see how well that slips into the meta. Chris J, dome down to start this one off as the CTs lose the first man to open up the round. Fair bit of time left on the clock, though. Haven't even breached the minute mark yet, Ben.
Yeah, it was just a case of trying to use that MP7 to its best possibility. I believe this is the first tournament as well with the Org change, isn't it? Because it did get nerfed during Pro League.
But it was never live.
Active,
yeah, that's very true.
So this takes come in. The site's just covered in fire, but Robs has set up a beautiful smoke. And that's a nice 2k to find.
It's a good start. Ooh, the damage from the fire is absolutely horrific. Leaving with just 4 HP. It's not a fantastic position to be in, but he's still going to have to try and work off of it. Yeah, just throwing the bomb in towards the smoke. Spams his way back. Is able to get the tap off and actually eliminate Rops at this point. They're left into a 2 versus 2. They have the stronger firepower. They opt to actually play this one. So they slowly advance behind, try and get themselves into a better position. 30 seconds left on the clock. Frozen getting tagged down. The elimination will come through, leaving them just onto the 1v1. Very low HP, but he's got to try and fake the plant here, Ben. Try and bait him in. See if there'll be the overextension from Frozen. They just keep wasting a lot of time as he burns it down. Gonna go for the full commit. Looks like he should be able to get away from it as well. Frozen slowly tiptoeing his way up, gets into position, tries to spot him out through the crack. The extension around the big spray down comes in. Does bail himself out. That's very close for comfort as they finally get around on the board.
It's a rough round to lose from the mousesports side of things when you think Rops did so well. Like 3 kills just into on that single defense, including one when he was already on, what, 10 HP, I think, on top of the boxes.
Yeah.
But you can see that's the same execute that every team has been doing on that bomb site. So it's like a wall of smokes just from the AC unit sort of area, as well as the Molotovs covering the 3 layers of the site. Rops counters it by putting that one smoke next to the default boxes. Goes on top, it's a one-way smoke essentially for the entire walkway. However, I would consider this to be more of the buy round, although that's an interesting way to start a Carrigan.
Yeah, Carrigan just getting completely blown to bits there. Frozen going to trade one back. Spamming down. Makes his mark through the wood. At this point, you've just got 4 versus 4 left into the actual round. Set themselves up outside the A site. Still a fair bit of utility, Ben. It's not the worst situation in the world to work with. However, for the CTs, there's basically nothing left. They've got 1 smoke and 1 flashbang between the 4 of them.
So one of the smokes getting used, actually they're just going to be fully blown. Both those smokes landed the same place pretty much.
Yeah.
And it wasn't actually Frozen blocking it either, that would have landed there regardless. It's a very awkward place to be on this site. Chris J is here to help.
Ooh, okay. Well, they get 2 picks from it. Frozen gets traded back upon, though, by Zeph, as he will just run through him with a Mach 10. Chris goes for the wide swing out. And from an equal position, it's quickly gone into the favor of mousesports with some nice footwork coming out from Chris J. And this is where it gets really quite rough. 1 versus 3 to try and bail him out. 45 seconds left on the clock. Little spam through the wood and actually going to connect onto Chris, but that tag will. 50 HP left, quaking in his boots as he goes for the peek out towards the site. Woxic will find him, and that's another round secured for Mouse.
It's one of the things we kind of forgot about with Carrigan joining Mouse. We get to see Chris J go back into more of a fragging role.
Yeah. Essentially,
with the AWP especially. Not always, because you do have Woxic on the team. It's a bit... Both of them can do either or. That's kind of one of the benefits.
They're very interchangeable as players.
But, you know, you do have those games for Chris J every now and then where he will just go off, right? Like 25, 30 kills, easy.
Well, it also just looks quite nice when Chris does it.
Yeah.
He's got a bit of a... He has a flair that, you know, we're not used to seeing too much anymore. He's showing to show a little bit of that style to open up the round. As he does push his way down. Double kill as well coming through from Frozen. Just attempting to clean this one up with no casualties, really. Ooh.
It's such an awkward area.
Yeah. The fight through the stairs with the little...
Yeah.
No gaps.
Yeah, because if I remember correctly, it was on this map against FaZe where they 2-0'd them. I think it was Train and this map, I believe. Vertigo Train. And Chris J had 63 kills across the 2 maps, which is crazy good.
Yeah.
Like, that's so good. And one of those was just from the first map, like 36, 37 kills as well. But he kind of fell off a bit going into the playoffs, which was kind of why, going into the actual playoffs of Pro League, it was mostly all of the mousesports members of the active players. I've 30 players. They had everybody in the top 10, which is quite a rare thing in itself, right?
That is pretty wild.
So MVP did take a tactical timeout there, quite early, 6th round. But I suppose this is your pick. You don't really want to make it go to waste, especially when you think it might be a pick that can catch them off.
Yeah. You need to try and keep moving the momentum here. More aggression, though, this time towards the B site. They're actually trying to play it a little bit faster pace to get in there early. They hadn't found too much success, but this is a nice boost from Chris. Raised up at the back of the site.
I prefer this over the one that boosts on top of the default box, that's for sure.
Yeah. You've got a lot more cover to play with here.
And if you really want to, if you've got the chemistry with your teammate beneath you, you move all the way to the side and then peek the actual walkway as well. But so MVP seems to be quite keen on getting control of that staircase, though. So that's one of the consistent. When they go there, it's 2 or 3 people, and if they don't, it'll just be the one guy there. So perhaps this is a way of them showing a tell to what they want to do towards the end of the round, right? So we see them all, so the same smokes coming in, same wall I mentioned.
Oh, timing.
There's no smoke beneath here. Oh,
this is rough. It gets a bit messy as well. They both had to jump off. They've dismounted. Oh, they've got to get themselves back on top of this horse, though, Ben, if they want to be able to go on and win this round. Frozen comes through with at least 1 kill. Luckily, Rops is able to make the play work. It seemed like they were just trap dancing back and forth there in the corner. They come out of the shame corner and they start to get the round going. Frozen is doing the good majority of the damage as well, just picking people apart with his M4, takes down another one. Zeph from a distance, spamming away, trying to get the shots off. He is tagging a few of them, but there's no real chance of success now going forward. Surely should just be the standard defuse coming out. Frozen for a 4K into the round, advances forward. That is going to be the 5th round picked up for Mouse.
I really like the idea of that strat overall. So obviously they got dismantled completely because there's 2 players back left, right?
Yeah.
Which that can happen. I suppose Frozen gets 1 kill through the smoke. You can't do anything about that. But you need to be able to clear that area or at least Molotov it properly, right? So either flood them out or get rid of them fully. But the main thing was that plant right in the corner. We saw just then right at the end, he was trying to, like, there was a gap where he could peek, not from the actual doorway, but around the edge. He could see all the way to the actual bomb. And he could kill anybody trying to defuse it, or from an off angle. In reality, that's such a far off angle. Like, you could see the true, this is our plan, this is how we're going to cover the bomb. We're going to have 2 players lurk around the back. Hopefully the 3 got onto the site fine, which they did, I guess.
Yeah.
It's just they didn't hold on long enough to have it execute properly. Nevertheless, no, this map I believe is like 63% T-sided in all the games played on it. It's been very T-sided. This has not been a very good start for MVP.
No, not particularly. We do normally see teams actually start to really get themselves into that sort of rolling mentality when they are on that T-side, but the only thing they're really doing that is trailblazing right now is burning themselves. Zeph does get up onto the ledge, but yeah, he kind of just gives them a gift. C4 down on the ground, not really going to leave them in a tasty position. Carrigan as well! Just pops out of blazing, they don't know where he is! The silent assassin himself, he's just going off. Oh,
that's
Carrigan.
called a Carrigan on land play, I believe, where you just run. You just run. And that's another tactical timeout, 3 rounds later.
Oh, he was just hiding in the shadows and just popped out and just slaughtered them all.
I suppose that's when there's disruption like that from Woxic getting the bomber, and there's nobody there for a good 6 seconds, maybe? He just thought, okay, as soon as they make noise coming towards Woxic, I'm just going to run through. And it's worked out. It's worked out quite well.
It's also, you know, one of the reasons where you can kind of advocate for the silence M4 a little bit as well.
Yeah.
You saw literally how visibly confused everyone was at that point, so definitely paid off in cleaning up the round for Carrigan.
Even more so when you consider the fact that you just hear the ding ding, and then just one of your players seems like just dies. You're like, what?
What has happened? Where is he? I don't know. Smoke?
And then I don't know, he gets all 4 kills though. It's quite surprising.
Yeah, he literally cleaned up that entire site.
I mean, other than Carrigan, you consider how clean the rounds have been for mousesports. Like, he has 4 deaths, the rest of the team have 7 in total. They're building up quite a bank. And this is the first bit of mid-aggression we've seen from Woxic and stuff as well. He hasn't checked this right corner there. Shouldn't be an issue, although the Glock does get the trade.
Yeah, straight back into the cranium of Woxic there over Frozen. The Deagle actually pays off as well. Luckily, Rops just waiting, lying around the corner to strike, comes through. That's big impact into the round. Frozen watches the demise to flick around as well. She gets the shot off with the AK. It feels like he doesn't really, you know, need to get that one as the position he was left in, but somehow he's just been given the gift to flick around and peel back another scalp. Ooh, that was the one I expected to be picked up from Rops, but instead he left lifeless on the ground. At this point, you've got a minute left on the clock. No real chance of recovering that bomb. It is a 1 versus 2, but it's still the fact there's a smoke blocking his only choke point out. It's also what do you really do with it at this point. You could have 50 seconds left on the clock.
The scary bit is he has armor as well, so it's not exactly like an undoable or impossible round to win. He'll know that that came from all the way up above. However, that bomb is far enough in. He should know where both players are. That smoke's not going to do much for him. Oh my word! Did he still think that? Okay, he must have assumed that Frozen had not actually, you know, moved or dropped rather. That's quite a surprise. But Frozen, he's carrying on the form from earlier. He was actually one of the only players who went or played rather well against Navi earlier on today.
Yeah, I mean, Frozen's been looking really sick. Obviously, pretty much just as time's gone by. Obviously, I saw him the first time, was it the European minor? Yeah.
RG Extitus.
Yeah, and obviously he was super young at the time. Like
14, I think,
yeah.
at that point.
So obviously to see him from there to where he is now, it's pretty crazy how like the transition's gone on. He's still improved. He obviously had a lot of talent at the time. It was just more the pressure and also the team he was in.
It's just the age as well, isn't it? Like, because Pro League, I believe it's still 16. You have to be able to play. So straight up, he's literally
just he's had to wait it out.
Time.
And the story's definitely starting to build for him, and this is only the beginning. Oh, Carrigan! With a big extension out towards the ramp. Wanted to go fishing. A bit off something bigger than he could chew there as he tried to reel that one in. Gets the tag off, leaving Zeph on 16, but it won't actually be the kill. Makes it a little bit more awkward for mousesports, but we've seen Carrigan go for these early plays, and it hasn't come back to bite him in the bottom that much. Chris gets the trade off as well. Now they're back into the 4 versus 4.
It's a very split, like disjointed effort from MVP so far. Like some of the rounds, like there was a bit of difference when that execute came through, for example. There was a clear idea we're gonna have 2 players leap around. It's an afterplant situation. That wasn't too much. It was just 2 players entering a bomb site, hoping that they win.
Would do something, yeah.
And we get a result from this, which is 1v3 for XLGN. And he gets that 1 kill, but it's good for nothing. I mean, there's a big bank building, and Frozen had 16k at the end of this round.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. It's very... There isn't much methodical play behind some of these actions.
No. I mean, we've seen the most success, obviously, with the actual calculated executes they had towards the B site. They look pretty damn good. Obviously, the downside to that is they're probably a little bit worried about how mousesports been playing it. They've actually done a pretty good job of keeping it pretty dynamic. Obviously, we've seen Chris with the aggressive pushes. They've used the boost at the back of the site. That's the one difference, is MVP have played actually pretty readable, pretty standard in the way they've actually been doing things, whereas mousesports have actually kept it unorthodox enough that you're not sure how they're opting to hold these sites. So clearly MVP a little bit paranoid about some of these rounds.
One of the other things about as well, so when you consider this team, you have Carrigan, incredible experienced IGL.
Yep.
Chris J, technically crazy experienced, also has IGL, has been a star player and everything. Rops, as well as Woxic, both equally experienced, I suppose, and Frozen, newcomer to this level.
Yeah.
You've got 2 players, Carrigan and Chris J, who are willing to make those very risky plays just to get an advantage. Carrigan, we've seen him do it twice this game already. He just goes for a bit of an audacious pick. But then Chris J returns the favour by doing the same thing on the other side of the map, and he gets the kill. So if both of those were going wrong, we'd probably be seeing a very different scoreline. But instead, one of those is working out very well. So we're seeing, obviously, Frozen as well. He's playing really well on his own, as it is.
Chris has got an AUG, then.
See, the issue with this, it's not actually that bad.
No.
It's only when you're moving, and you're unzoomed as well.
Because it was rate of fire changed, and also, wasn't it the inaccuracy when you're not crouched?
When you're not zoomed in.
Yeah.
Which I don't mind too much. And here's another one of those players I mentioned, Carrigan. He's very willing to take risky plays.
He's been doing this a lot. Let's see if this one actually has any more weight to it. Oh, instantly gets the kill on the pop. They will line up for him.
And again,
everyone swings into Carrigan. This is going to be able to blow them all away. Woxic will get the trade back as well. At this point, the round is basically set in stone. And Woxic will be the one to hammer that nail straight through. 9th round for mousesports. Carrigan with a bold plays. Everyone just walked into his crosshair there, just literally gifting themselves.
The thing is, you could just see it happening, though, because we saw that first kill, then it's like, they're going to line up perfectly. That's such an organ. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen a team use all of their timeouts by around 10.
No, all on one half as well. Normally,
all one half.
Normally you see like 2 timeouts per half. People trying to.
Yeah, this is panic, though.
This is what do we do? We're losing every round.
T-sided map. We probably do very well T-side normally when we play in pracs and everything like that. We've got 1 round, and that was from essentially a 1v2 or 1v1. Rather.
I mean, it's the potential difference. Obviously, this game could have been a little bit different if MVP actually did take the pistol round.
Yeah.
But then again, that's all in hindsight, and it's also based on what else we've seen.
It's also just a 1 pistol round as well.
It's
They might have lost the second. There's a few different bits. Like, you consider the round that Mouse did lose was around where Wop still got 3k on the site defending it. Like, that's... that was also around that MVP probably should have lost, really. It was a 4v3 at one point, I believe, in favour of Mouse.
It's quite funny as well how mousesports have only been upping the level of aggression.
Yeah.
Like, every round.
It's confidence, isn't it? It's flowing right through them.
They're just being allowed to push, basically. This time we've seen a contact play coming out towards B. I don't feel like this could actually go too well. Unless, hang on. I mean, they're boosting themselves up. They're actually going for the elevator jump over.
To get a different angle on it. However, the angles they're using here, Rops and Chris J had no idea about that, but Rops should have been there to cover the actual other angle, which he is.
The
here he comes.
Part is they're all just walking into the site with Rops there. You can't be going about it like this. He's not the sort of man that's going to miss and panic in those situations. Coming in 1 by 1, you're literally giving him exactly what he wants. Luckily,
Headshot king.
There is still a Deagle in play. Unfortunately, he was headshot killed as he goes down.
I think there was the FPL clip not long, actually quite a bit ago now, with Rops, where he was just walking around one-tapping people.
Oh, yeah.
If you remember on Cash, I think it was.
Yeah.
That's what happens when he's 9-1 up. He has an AK. He knows you're on pistols.
But that's
and
like
you've given it 3
prime
second
time as well.
right?
They were so isolated, obviously. You've got one person going in, then the next 3 seconds delayed. He's at an angle where he's got complete view of the site. You can't surprise him. He's got a rifle. He's just going to rip your heads off. Like, that's just standard. Especially in that situation as well, where he knows he doesn't really need to panic.
Yeah.
He's against pistols. It's not going to affect him. But MVP, I mean, you know, if Blair's watching, he needs to try and give them some energy, Ben, because they've got 1 round and this is not looking good. Back
The
again
AWP
towards the
coming
B
out's
site, though.
different.
Yeah.
That's something.
Oh, there you go.
And that's another opening of Chris J, but last time that happened, they
They're
lost
out.
their heads.
They've realised they don't want any of this. They don't want to advance towards Rops. They do
killed
actually
the wrong
dial it
one.
down. Chris is fine. It's Rops we need to be dealing with.
The issue is they have no mid control. Technically, they have no control of A that they know of. The only thing they got was that B entry kill. They've had the opening kill quite a few times this map as well, when you consider twice on Carrigan as well. Because the opening kill, as you saw, they're quite spooked by it. They're not even confident in advancing from this.
Yeah. Ooh. Okay. Woxic's been doing this during the early game. For the most part of these rounds, he's been trying to fight for that control. But this time he is actually allowed to walk out.
Depends how loud he is. Because the fast rotate there, you drop when you make quite a bit of noise. Unless he has to walk down the staircase
walking
all
down
the
it all.
way.
Oh.
As this execute comes in, so if Rops delays long enough, gets a kill or 2, he shouldn't be able to, but he still gets one.
The fact that Rops actually got shot as well through the floor, taking
so
damage, meaning he goes down easier into this one. It all comes over to Frozen. Frozen, overwhelmed by the sheer amount of them that are just bombarding on towards the site. And now finally MVP in a situation to actually get around. Carrigan shoots across, takes no damage. This is perfect so far, Ben. They're all incredibly low. His biggest threat really is Zeta with the AWP, but he isn't scoped in over towards the boost. Carrigan!
You can make that jump silent if you do it.
Oh, no,
This game
it's all going
He thought he
wrong.
dropped based on the noise. The molly will push him out, but they've heard no noise further from that. If he checks this left, he has a chance, but
No.
So the big thing there, I guess, is really Frozen probably should have got more than one. Or well, he should have got one.
At least,
and more,
yeah.
right. Rops, he shouldn't have ever got one. In my eyes, he got tagged through the floor. None of the players.
He was
were
just on
looking
20
at him.
HP.
None of them looking at him.
I don't know how they didn't call he's there. Like, you literally just shot him, but...
Concerning, but nevertheless, it's another round on the board. And you can argue the AWP was a big factor, right? It's a kill, an assist as well.
Well, it made it easier than having to go for a boost pick.
Yeah.
To get, obviously, that kill onto Chris before. Double up set up his back out for mousesports, though. Wouldn't be surprised if we actually do see Carrigan
Same
absolutely
boost
giving it again.
From Chris J.
Yeah, back up at the backside.
But as I said before, if they're going towards B, it's usually a 3-man default that they go towards it with. They don't throw any pre-nades, though, so there's no tell, other than the fact usually they get contact much earlier than that. So Chris J, he just has to sit here for quite a while. I imagine they'll dedicate to that boost for quite a long time as well, because I'm assuming that's the headshot angle for the whole staircase, too.
Yeah, you've got pretty good vision on it from like
So
where the
nobody
actual...
can get up without you knowing, essentially, right?
Yeah.
Unless they boost up the other side of the staircase, which would be an advanced play. But I don't think I've seen that happen.
I'm kind of curious now to see what extra like little boosts you could bring to the table to
there's quite a
actually...
few.
More so just for positioning on this.
There's a mist smoke there, or it's meant to be a weird one-way. So that normally lands in the blockade of the woods there. T's throw it from spawn or from the scaffolding. And the CTs usually re-smoke it themselves.
Oh. Well.
So that re-smoke comes in there, covers off that entrance. But this is getting down to 40 seconds now.
Yeah.
Mouse have got 3 players here. Not many grenades, but still 3 players.
All depends on the timing, really. As we're getting towards the crunch, 30 seconds on the clock. Zeth is going to have to open it up, walks around, focuses in towards the elevators, but won't actually spot anyone out.
There's a gap.
Frozen with a flashbang to try and delay, keeps them and actually blinds them as well. Carrigan's been traded out. They're left with only 4 members remaining on the CT side to try and lock this one down. Zeth getting into a better position as well. Last time MVP, they threw away these rounds by taking too many of the firefights. They're going to make the same mistake again. Frozen AWP in his hands, but he's proving that he's warmed up. Gets the first kill. Woxic with the aggression towards the ramp. Finally, we see MVP actually be able to hold the ramp and force them back. But they've smoked it off. They're going to try and jump on the bomb as well. He gets the kill through the wall. At this point, you're left to a 3 versus 3. And they can try and make this work. He's just sticking to get the defuse. Frozen's going to win the round.
I don't know how you don't get the lineup on that spot. It's in the corner.
I don't know. It feels like it's one of those, you planted it there, you know it's directly in the corner,
and you just
line it up with
go
a
back
box.
to Epic then. You ask Surreal, what could he have done differently?
Yeah.
And you think you just have to tap this one. You don't have to spray it
No.
fully. Just tap and then
you
clear
hear.
the angles.
You hear it and you go, oh, I've hit him.
Yeah. But who knows how loud the comms were in that situation, because he tapped it twice, and he tapped it
Yeah.
once, pulled away,
And
then
then
he
went back
tapped
on
it
it for the
again.
full commit.
So they get the AWP out again. They need this round if they stand a chance. The classic 12-3 half is what they need, because that's the comeback possibility.
So at least have some kind of hope
13-2
as well.
is scary, especially more when you've got 2 rounds potentially in your T stage.
Yeah.
Because that's just not enough. So here's that B default I mentioned, where you tend to have more like 3 players there. They're going contact up again. They got the entry last time, but obviously it didn't go too great because of the actual...
Chris, you absolute lunatic.
What?
What is going on?
He's gonna die.
Oh,
He got the smoke.
the Flying Dutchman. It's just, I don't know what's going on, Ben. He's just come flying across trying to go for an air shot.
I'm just gonna jump spot.
Oh,
He tagged it.
Carrigan as well with a tag. Get out
Oh,
of
they're coming
there.
straight
Drop
up
the
the
back nade.
nades.
That could actually...
didn't do anything.
Ooh. I feel like that was going to do an awful lot more. Woxic, though. Takes a walk on the wild side. Glimpses out through the hole in the wall.
Carrigan's gonna re-aggress if he doesn't get anything in the next 10 seconds.
Woxic also burned down slightly to 75 HP. Carrigan. It's a bit of an unorthodox angle as he waits for the push to come in, but his teammates are dying around him. He's also forced back, but the flashbang, quick flick comes across though. Is able to get the first and the follow-up onto the second. 2 beautiful kills now for Carrigan.
Oh my God,
as he
he's just
leaps
going.
around, he's absolutely wild. He was showing no signs of slowing down.
Christian is watching him with a grin, going, yes,
Yeah, keep pushing.
keep going. This is good. Wow.
This is a very, very odd game to start us off.
So Woxic hasn't been given the AWP or CT half.
Oh, he just needed it.
Well, he hasn't. Like, Mibs
Yeah.
has been a non-entity
Yeah.
for MVP. He's been asked to do what he wants there.
He just walks in most of the time.
So, I mean, we did always feel like AWPing on this map was kind of awkward for the most part. It's just that opening deal
Yeah.
at B staircase, that's okay, and then when you go up B, it's fine. But mid is not.
Well, the
an AWP
angles
spot.
aren't really... No. You're at such a disadvantage to actually peek it to even get out. It's just kind of not great for you.
Woxic with an early kill. I believe he dropped down the lift then, as in the mid lift, and just dropped behind and killed one, tagged another. Look at this confidence though. Like, he's got 21 kills right now for us.
Well, it looks like it's going to be going the way of mousesports for a 13-2 half here, as we're just left in a 1 versus 3 now. Carrigan. Oh, taken down. There was a potential there as he flicked down. We do have the highlights, of course, from this one. There is more to come, though, and we'll be plugging back in for the second half. Can MVP try and revitalize themselves? Find out after the break. MVP struggling to prove that they are the most valuable team on the server right now. mousesports have been absolutely smashing their way through. 13 rounds picked up over on their CT side. They now move on to their T side, Ben. They've been looking like they've basically been on the T side the whole game with the amount of pushes we've seen. Where do we think it's going to go?
So we've just seen a spawn smoke from Carrigan come straight through, as well as 2 flashes, which obviously flashes haven't done too much, but nonetheless they have got into sight, but there's 3 players there repelling their attack completely.
Yeah, the tenacious defense of MVP has held it up strong so far into the early rounds of the second half.
Rops is going all the way around. Oh, the door's... Actually...
Oh!
Somebody battered the door.
Every door's a window. As it opens up some opportunities for Rops there. Gets the first as he pops off the noggin, leaving them into the 2 versus 3. A minute and 15 seconds left on the clock here. Carrigan. If he slowly advances, depends on the actual timing. I mean, everyone's so focused on the crossfire of the bomb. There might be another kill for Rops as well. This causes a bit of a diversion as they all peek around. They're trying to fight together, but Rops is doing it all just on his lonesome as he's taken down 3 men into the round. Finally gets his head cut off. Carrigan trying to get the shot. 2 tags. He's on 25 HP, but he's playing for the headshot angle. Tries to get the frag, but it won't work out. Carrigan will eventually bail them out. Complemented so nicely there by Rops, giving him 23 kills as his total tally currently into this matchup, which is pretty ridiculous when you realize he's died 4 times.
I think it's just the way that, like, if you watch how he was aiming for those 3 kills he got. So the first kill is gifted.
Yeah, just straight through
but then you could just see, like, it's like when you're sort of in like a serennial, weird, like, wisdom sort of like phase where you're just like tapping. You're in a, like, you're in a weird. I don't know how to describe it. It's like you're in a serenity. Everything is slowed down in your mind right now. So you're just tapping. No worry about being hit yourself. But with a Glock and obviously fighting USPs, multiple.
It's like
I'm trying to think what's the time splitters.
Yeah, or it's like that drug from Judge Dredd, the one that was kind of like Raid, the remake. Yeah. Everything just slows down. But right now, things are speeding up. 4 versus 4 ready into the round. As it just looks like really mousesports at this point, essentially looking to try and claim themselves a match point. Put a pin in this one and move it on over onto Inferno.
They heard that.
Chris.
Zeph did peek slightly, he didn't see anything though. But HSK 100% heard it.
Yeah, at that point though, the mat 10's so close to you, it's just going to absolutely maul you. The response from the back, there was a bit of a tag coming out. Barely staying alive as well. We do see Chris J falling. At this point, more kills coming through though. Frozen going to be able to get an angle across. Woxic and Rops both come through as a double team in rapid timing. And at that point, it's 15-2. And it does really seem like mousesports are just going to be able to make ridiculous time out of this one versus MVP. And we will be moving to Inferno as our second map here. So obviously the cheese pick for MVP really not working out too nicely at all.
Yeah, I mean, we did mention it very slightly how the underdog tends to pick Vertigo, and it doesn't really work out how it's meant to. Like, it's always been a bit of a, not a sad failure, but you kind of hope for more. It's not going to get any better here, but looks things. Chris J already got beneath the staircase. Easy kill for him. Does get traded, and does get traded again though. So this is actually an advantage for MVP for the first time in quite a while in an area of significance anyway. But they do still have Frozen and Rops alive, who have had like 50 kills between them. So.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they still had some fight left in them going into this round. Sheer amount of damage being done as well to the CTs as they are being popped down. Frozen with the first. Zeph on the rotate, not even a chance to do anything here. This actually could still be the win and the close down for mousesports, but it would have to be the 1 versus 2 clutch round now for Rops as he's up against... Oh, no! The nade!
As soon as the defuse comes through, he knows how far the plant is. Oh, that could have been so good. If they both were near it, saying tap it. I really want to see that nade come through, though. He has a kit as well.
It would be outrageous. The nade's going to go over, but the push comes around. Zeta's going to find it. We'll get the defuse as well. MVP, they saved themselves, at the very least, 1 more round. They keep themselves in it for another moment. But surely you can't delay the inevitable at this point. I mean, 15 rounds already picked up for mousesports. Just the sheer way they were playing as well in the CT half. It feels like it's only a matter of time, really.
So, banging stat right here. So there's 44 kills for MVP. Rops and Frozen have 49. Just to show that how one-sided the game is. Like, that's just a 2 versus 5 picture-in-picture right there.
They've just individually been commanding the entire game at this point. The top dogs on the server. Zeph. Ooh. Okay. We went for the jump across. We didn't actually see the kill coming through. However, Zet is going to come down onto Chris J. Frozen's very low as well, and Woxic's been completely removed from the equation, pulled up out of the ground. And this makes it hard now for the trio that is left on the mousesports side. Rops, he's been looking pretty darn fabulous though. Carrigan coming over to try and provide some kind of support as well as they walks their way in towards the site. Rops gets the angle, tried to bait him into it, Ben, but it's not going to work out. And now there's only 2 members of mousesports remaining. Carrigan, the IGL, didn't have the biggest brain to try and get himself out of that scenario, and it all falls to Frozen miles away over at A.
You see what I mean by the way Rops is aiming?
It's like that sort of, it's just,
he's just trying
robot
to
aim.
one-tap.
You're just ready to just, yeah.
It's like shrouding a pug.
Yeah.
It's like, it's all well and good to be doing it just because you feel confident, but at the same time, I can't help but feel like you shouldn't ever like get into that mentality though, just because that's not how you would normally do it, right?
Yeah.
Because you want to build consistency, you want to build that constant, rather than just being like, because he doesn't normally do that, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. It doesn't sit well with me from the angle of building a consistency. I don't know. Oh, here comes the onslaught.
Yeah, mousesports at this point with nothing really to play with. They're just going to run straight into the meat grinder. The only one that does battle back is Woxic. Trades it over to the P250 to try and punish. Rops wants a piece of the action though. With the Deagle flick up, blows the brains out of Zeta, but Zeph will trade it through with the AK. MVP getting a couple of rounds here and there to be expected at this point. Mousesports, obviously no investment into that one. Pretty much just the Glock and P250s out to play. Now, though, they have the firepower once again. 2 Kriegs coming out as well. One on Chris and one on Carrigan.
Yeah, it's a bit of an interesting array of T-side weapons acquired for MVP as well here. 2 AKs and SG too. But that AWP comes out, as mentioned. So I'm kind of interested to see how that goes here. Oh my.
Ooh, okay. Well, this
not
is
even zooming. Doesn't
no.
care.
Oh,
He doesn't care.
Carrigan. Oh, that's absolutely wild. He just styled on them to get the entries towards the A site, completely opens the whole thing up. The team's now going to have to rotate around him and come over and try and support him, but it's not going out well for them. Frozen bites off more than he can do. Carrigan has to get involved, and at this point, Ben, it could come down to the saviour of Rops once again in this scenario. We've got 1 minute and 20 seconds. Rops just holding his ground here. Hoping to see if there'll be a push from Zeph.
Zeph has no reason to go further up, is the issue.
Oh.
That's just unlucky. Rob's last heard that reload towards that side. Didn't extract the other part. Christian's not actually had much of a great game for the mouse so far this game. Like, he's 8 kills, 13 deaths. The only player who's negative, I believe. You would need to do something kind of crazy here. Not quite.
No.
Headshot king.
Things look a little bit better for MVP now on their CT side, at least. You know, they're getting into it, but it's just the repeatable rounds, really. Of if Carrigan's able to walk onto the site and literally just no scope destroy his way through 2 people, at what point when will it just happen?
Yeah. It's at least you kind of see that they haven't lost the confidence in the way they're peaking and everything.
Yeah.
MVP, like normally in a game like where you're down 15-2 at one point, you play very scared, you're very reluctant. They're still, taking outward battles. Like, look at this, he's very far up here. We didn't see much of this sort of position from mousesports in their CT side. It's another opener.
It feels like a very one and done angle, though. Could be hard to get out
back
of.
Backup was not there.
It didn't arrive. Rops needs immediate assistance, though, when it comes down to his health, as he's only left on 1 HP. They're casting a collection of nades over to try and take them down. Rops luckily will be the one to take the bullet from the AWP. As Zeta goes for the swing back across, but Christe's Deagle proves to be too powerful. They're starting to actually make quick work of them, but they need to land their shots. Frozen, Deagle in hand. Can't actually win that firefight. MVP now with 7 rounds. They're getting there. They're still in the position they were in. They've actually done a whole lot more than we initially saw coming through from them.
Yeah, that's been quite a recovery in terms of actual... it's making the score seem not as bad as it was.
Yeah.
Because there's a timeline where we do end up 16-2. MVP, they go into the next month feeling very down. They lost their own pick, stuff like that. But these rounds, they instill a lot of confidence back in you. You're just like, okay, the T side just wasn't working. CT we showed we're still able to fight with them. We can still win these firefights. We have every chance as much to win Inferno.
Yeah.
But I feel like the only time
Ooh,
you could tell that's a heart dropper.
Yeah. I could have been way, way worse as well.
Oh god.
Well, luckily he's actually still alive at this point.
I remember there was clips that got shown by Keita from one of those chaos practices, wasn't there? They were lining up smokes and scaffolding, and one of the players he was lining it up and then just walked off back.
Always good.
God.
Well, mousesports have already lost Chris going into this one. It's round 23 going to be a little bit harder for them. But Woxic, he wants to start trying to chip away at the defense from MVP. Gets the first pick, flashbang up in towards the site as well to try and set the idea they are still coming over towards B. Carrigan's going to lead the charge in forwarding it. Frozen, actually, it's the nade kill off as well as a HSK. Site goes up in flames. This is going to make it harder to hold towards the B defense. They've got a good crossfire set up, and Carrigan just runs straight into the middle of it. They need to get this backstab off. It is slowly coming around, but the full frontal assault is just completely crumbling. Everyone's been overthrown. Rops now needs to make full use and maximize the position that he's in. Gets one, takes a small bit of damage for it. Still potentially winnable. 69 HP, AK in his hands. It's a 1 versus 2. He's got 15 seconds left to try and clutch this one out. Sprints over towards the site, pre-firing towards the steps. Doesn't realize how close he is, though. Zeph just going to waltz around the corner. Another kill and another round for MVP.
Yeah, these rounds, they're getting closer and closer, aren't they? It's getting down to a point where at one point one of these players will not win that firefight, and it'll change everything. But for right now, mousesports taking a tactical timeout. If you're MVP, you're thinking, oh great, we've actually made them have to think about
They need to stop and
this
talk
stuff.
about
They're not
this,
just running around anymore. You know, they're struggling on their T side as well. You know, on the day, it could be different, right? Maps cannot be T-sided on one day. Could be not CT-sided yet, right? So mousesports having to actually think about things is quite a surprise. If they want to, they could go for a buy, but I imagine it's going to be a half buy. But these are the kind of rounds you lose when you're in a comeback position, isn't it? Like the half buy, 2 entries go the wrong way, the site's gone, pistols, irrecoverable sort of spot. Because it's going to be an execute. Look how many grenades they've got.
Round 24. Mousesports. The Deagles to play with. Carrigan instantly setting himself up. We've seen this once before, the fast aggression coming through, but this time is it going to work out any better for them? Frozen, the instant opening Deagle damage coming out to play. They've got a lot of control towards mid as well. The first time we've seen this, the whole squad bombard their way out like this to try and gain the early map control. This should actually force MVP into a bit of a back burner position into the round.
Yeah, it's a very good opener to find, though. I mean, Frozen, I don't think he expected to get an opener like that based on the way they planned this strategy, at least. But he has got an AK, though, which is probably making them rethink what they can do from this. They still got 1 smoke, 1 Molotov, quite a few flashes. Oh! He took ages to line that up as well, didn't he?
He was really confident in himself to just line that one up, take the individual shot with the Deagle, gets the frag. Yeah, I mean, it worked out nicely. HSK, he spots out the push coming towards him on B. Oh, Verzetta were luckily able to connect it.
Frozen needs to use this Molotov very, very well. So he's going to get to the L block. That'll delay a push from there. But they need to get onto that site before it actually wears off.
45 seconds on the clock as the bomb starts to go down. Rotations coming over. In terms of utility, they've got flashbangs, they've got 2 smokes. 3 kits as well, so they're not going to have to really worry about that. Chris J set up with the Deagle, just going to be holding towards the angle. Woxic up close and personal, looking to punish with a P250. The timing could be great for him, just as he goes around. Spots out Zeph, trying to use the utility. And it all falls on Frozen. A 1v2. The rapid movement, though, as he gets the initial headshot off and the commit to the spam on the second. It's another 3K for Frozen. And that is, of course, going to be the round and the game taken by mousesports there as they lock it down versus MVP on the first map of the best of 3.
Yeah, 16-8. I don't think the scoreline represents how one-sided